House number 13 on Willow Street wasn't one that you'd dare to look at. Most people avoided it, walking faster as they passed its creaking iron gate and hollow-eyed windows. Some regarded the house to be a bad omen because they thought it was haunted. However, I did not have any choice. As a single mother trying to make ends meet, I was looking for a cheap house to begin a new life. "This is where we start fresh, Tommy," I told my son. I'm not going to lie, I was also quite scared to move into that house. With a forced smile, I unlocked the door, firmly holding my son's hands. Upon opening the door, the dusty, crisp air gushed into my lungs. It felt as if the house had been holding its breath. I coughed, trying to clear up the dusty air. Tommy, as curious as ever, he dropped my hand and ran inside, leaving me at the door to pull our suitcases. I was just dragging the suitcase to my bedroom when Tommy ran towards me, holding a black leather book. "Mom! Mom! Look what I found!" he said, holding the book up in the air. The cover was plain except for a faint etching of a shadowy figure wearing a tall hat. I shuddered but shook it off. "Just an old book. Go wash your hands, sweetie. And help me unpack. We'll have to make dinner after this," I said. After dinner, I went to my bedroom to grab my phone, but noticed the book on the floor. It felt odd, because I clearly remembered putting the book firmly on the table. However, I didn't give it much attention and shoved that book inside the top shelf. "Mom, can you help me make my bed?" Tommy yelled from the other room. I smiled and helped make his bed, then went to sleep. After about 15 minutes, I heard a strange noise coming from Tommy's room. It started with a faint tapping sound. Tap, 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 which kept on getting louder and louder. In astonishment, I got out of the bed abruptly, following the sound. Tommy was in bed, curled under the covers, clutching his teddy bear. "Mom, it's the closet. Someone's in there," he whispered. I opened the closet door to show him it was empty, but the air inside was cold, unnaturally so. "It's just the wind, honey. Go back to sleep." Just as I was about to turn, I noticed something at the back end of the closet, that same black book. "What the hell is this? How did this get here?" I yelled out in frustration and turned around to look at the book. Before I could say anything more, my son began to scream. "Mom! He's here again, in the closet, getting bigger!" My son was pointing at the closet behind me, but I didn't have the guts to look behind. I dropped the book on his bed and pulled my son to the door. But as I tried to open the door, it remained locked. "Mom, what's happening?" Tommy began to wear. Trying to take control of the situation, I carried Tommy and walked towards the partly opened closet door. In a split second, the book on Tommy's bed began to turn its pages on its own. The voice of the books, pages being turned, scraped through the air like breaking glass. I slammed the closet door with my hands trembling uncontrollably in fear. Suddenly the lights went out, and in the complete darkness the rays of the moon glistened upon a tall figure with razor fingers and a top hat that touched the ceiling. "Neither can you get rid of the book, nor me," it rasped, mouth splitting into a grin filled with needle teeth. "Once you let it in, it never leaves." I grabbed Tommy and ran from there. Thankfully, the door opened, but every door I opened led us back to his room. The creature was always there, waiting, watching, its grin growing wider. "Mom, let's hide in the kitchen," Tommy suggested. Cornered in the kitchen, we both watched the lights flicker wildly. The entity's laughter echoed from every direction. Tommy's heart pounded against his mother's side as they huddled together. I joined my hands to pray, but the situation kept on escalating. All at once I remembered what my grandmother used to say, "Fear is a door. Close it, and the monsters can't come in." I turned to face the thing, my heart pounding. "You're not welcome here," I screamed. "This is my house." The creature faltered, its form flickering like a dying flame, but before it vanished, it hissed, "I'll never leave. I am the dark." I thought it was over. I wanted to believe it was over. A month had passed since that incident. My son and I were now living comfortably at Outhouse. That day, we had watched a movie together and stayed till 11 p.m. because it was Saturday the next day. He had fallen asleep on the living room couch, so I carried him to his bedroom and kissed him goodnight. As I walked back to my room, I felt footsteps following me. I stopped to look around, but there was no one behind me. So, as I reached my room, I firmly locked it and went to bed. That night, the tapping returned. I was sure that it wasn't coming from Tommy's room this time. It was outside my bedroom door. Tap, tap, tap! I grabbed a flashlight, my hands shaking, and swung the door open. The hallway was empty, but the air was heavy, pressing down on me. As I turned, the flashlight flickered, and I saw it. The figure from the book. Its hat brushing the ceiling, its grin wider than ever. "You can't get rid of me," it whispered. "Not when you're still afraid."